everyone, it's Fitz with another edition of Deep Purple. I'm doing this live from the field at AT&T Stadium, Jerry Jones's big house here in Arlington, where Big 12 Media Days is taking place. Just wrapping up, I'm trying not to shake the camera too much, wrapping up Wednesday's festivities, 7 schools down, 7 to go, including Kansas State. Chris Kleiman starts off day 2 from the big stage right back there. Hope you're having a great week because Big 12 football is here. That's right. For the media, this marks the beginning of football season, kind of the end of their break maybe, if there is even one in this world of realignment and expansion. But it is kind of the signal that football's right around the corner. And this Big 12 Media Day has been Media Days or something totally fresh, with the 4 new schools, 14 schools in total here in Arlington for this event, and that's pretty darn cool. Got lots of things to talk about, but we're all going to focus right now on Brett Yormark's opening comments that were shared at the very top of the day. We kicked off at noon here in Arlington and moved on after Brett Yormark into the 7 head coaches, one after another. Then we had breakout sessions over here, and we'll repeat that on Thursday, the day this post, and we'll do it with all new teams, including Kansas State. Your reminder, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We continue to grow. We'd love to get to 10K before football season, as the plane passes overhead really close. And we're kind of stalling out a little bit. Come on, folks. If you're not subscribing to the GoPowercat channel and you enjoy it, please do. It helps us quite a bit. Leave your comments, hit the thumbs up. Anything you do to interact with this video, I'm shaking the camera, or maybe the plane was, shaking the camera here, but anything you do to interact with these videos really helps out its algorithm, our algorithm, quite a bit. Let's get into Brett Yormark's comments, and he was good. And what's interesting about his comments this year, it was a State of the Conference speech, which every commissioner's done through the years, but this State of the Conference speech was a little bit different. It was tinged with such optimism and forward-looking approach, not always talking about things that have gone wrong. You know, he listed all the accomplishments of the conference. He debuted a new promotional ad that is fantastic. And he talked about so many topics, including kind of brushing past expansion and realignment. As he mentioned, he didn't really want to get into that. This wasn't really what he wanted to do. And that last year's comment that the Big 12 was open for business was misconstrued as a shot at other conferences that we were here to steal everyone else's teams. He meant they're looking for initiatives. They're looking for things that will put this conference into the headlines and create a sense of motion about the conference. And if you've been around Brett Yormark at all or watched his comments, you know that that's a really important topic to him. He's always in motion. He's constantly thinking and doing. My friends in the Big 12 office said he comes to the office every morning with a fresh set of ideas, and they kick him around. Some of them are awful, and some of them are brilliant, like the Big 12 Pro Day that will happen here postseason. Where they'll have a combine for Big 12 talent in one site. Instead of asking the scouts to go to all 14 schools, the key players will all come here. And that's pretty cool. And as Tim Weiser, former K-State AD, who's now an associate commissioner with the Big 12, or maybe he's the deputy AD, mentioned, why didn't we ever think of that? It's so logical, and it really is. The star of the day, though, wasn't Brett Yormark. It was Sonny Dykes from TCU, and we kind of expected him maybe to talk about, you know, his team's picked for 5th, and they just played for the national title, and woe is me. He didn't get into all that, but he did take an absolutely brilliant shot at the schools that have left the Big 12, including Nebraska and Missouri, and that they haven't seen the kind of success, A&M was in there, the kind of success that they had in this conference. And also mentioned that UCLA and Rutgers in the Big 10 seems like a brilliant rivalry. It was pretty funny stuff. But Brett Yormark doubled down on open for business because they've done so much, not realignment related. He got that media deal hammered out, and he mentioned they hopped the line. How important was that to what the conference is now facing? What the optimism with which this conference can look forward, that they have that media deal into the future. They know that there'll be on a lot of linear channels with ESPN and Fox, including basketball, with Fox now added to the lineup. And that they have some options here, some visibility that he didn't say it out loud, that the Pac-12 just won't get. Once the Pac-12 gets a deal, no matter what it is, there aren't those linear options on existing platforms that they can tap into. We'll see what happens with them. But when it came to realignment, he said, look, we're going to have 12 schools going forward after this. This, of course, being the last year Texas and Oklahoma are in this conference. We'll have 12 schools after this, and they feel really good. So everything else needs to be additive. It needs to bring something to the table, whether that's schools out west or non-Power 5 schools now. Do they bring something to the conference that is important and makes the conference better? Does UConn do that as a non-Power 5? Well, there's some to believe that with Brett Yormark's overall view of this conference, including basketball, that yeah, it does do that. There is an opportunity for UConn. But I think we all know that turning westward and having more inventory they can offer in that late time slot, that fourth window is really important. BYU will bring some of that, but not very much. And if you add 3 more schools out west, what does that mean for the conference? Or just 2 more schools? I thought it was very interesting, but again, he did not want to talk about expansion. But some of the things he did talk about were the rebranding. You might have noticed that the logo here in the headline referred to the black Big 12 logo. Gone is the red, kind of a pale red, not even a deep, rich red that the Big 12 used, and now it's black, which is kind of interesting. He came from a background with the Brooklyn Nets, which also, when they moved to Brooklyn, rebranded black and white. He's done that with the conference, and as a fat guy, I like the idea of being able to wear more black. I think the logo is really cool in black, and it really does set a tone for the conference, almost like they're the outlaws, the ones that are defying what everyone else thinks should be done by a conference, and now the Big 12 is in black. But the rebrand, a new logo, will come in 2024 when Oklahoma and Texas are gone, and maybe the conference is 12 or more. He also talked about Big 12 Mexico, the Mexico initiative, quite a bit, and that Fox and ESPN have both agreed to do some of these games, Big 12 football games this fall, on their Spanish language platforms, which is brilliant and incredible. Mexican fans and Spanish speaking fans are a growing segment of all of athletics, and to try to get a foothold in that using the connections of Houston and other schools that might have a presence in Mexico, taking KU basketball, which is a national brand, and kind of giving them an opportunity to be an international brand. Playing Houston down there is really cool. Having a bowl game, whether that's a traditional bowl game in the postseason or a preseason game featuring Big 12 teams. We'll see what he means by that. But these things are really important to him to reach a new audience, an audience that is there for the taking if you can convince them to become Big 12 sports fans. I love it. I think it's really cool. Some of the other comments he made, in particular, that caught the attention of a lot of fans around Kansas City was his intent to double down on the current locations of championships, including here. They want to extend this contract, and they're deep into those negotiations. But he mentioned things like softball and football, and there was another sport in there that wasn't basketball, and people in Kansas City started to freak out. When asked about it, he corrected himself. They're negotiating with Kansas City to extend the contract to have the Big 12 tournament back there. And he mentioned this in his opening comments, that the event that was this year's Big 12 tournament and all the stuff they did, all the staging they did with the Power and Light districts and all around Kansas City was unlike anything the Big 12 has ever seen. Again, he's working with entertainers that he's got connections with, and he said when they announce the ticketing for the Big 12 championship, they will announce a big-time halftime show. Your guess is as good as mine. We'll see where he's going, but I guess with his background, it's going to be a rapper. Well, there's so much more here that he talked about, but those are really the highlights. If you want more specifics of what these topics were, go check out our YouTube channel. Our Zach Carlson edited down to be the good stuff instead of a full hour of video. You can get a lot of these topics with Brett Yormark's direct context of what he was saying. He is so good. He's in constant motion. That's what he wants the Big 12 to be, and the Big 12 is so healthy and strong now. It's really cool having the new schools around. They all bring something to this conference. BYU brings an incredible following. UCF brings just a growing football brand and a passionate fan base. A fan base that'll grow exponentially, I believe, with the addition of Big 12 exposure. Houston gives you a foothold at a big market. And you can argue that Houston doesn't bring you the Houston market, but now that they're in the Big 12, they bring you a lot of that market. They'll grow and grow within the realm of that market. And of course, Cincinnati brings you into a new part of the country, into Ohio. And Cincinnati's been so good in football and gives West Virginia, an old rival, that comes back into their schedule as a member of the Big 12. Ongoing coverage will happen all day Thursday as Kansas State takes the podium with Chris Kleiman at 9 a.m. Make sure you check it out. We'll have so much from down here in Dallas, but for tonight, as I'm recording this on Wednesday as we wrap things up here, it's Fitz, and I'm out of here from AT&T Stadium.